So soil and water conservation needs will vary drastically across the state depending on where you are, and the role of a soil and water conservation district can also vary drastically. Here in urban areas, we have very impacted streams that are heavily urbanized, they're eroded, they're really polluted, and our role here as a soil and water conservation district is to try to help them heal and try to prevent further impacts from either nearby developments, erosion and sedimentation issues, or stormwater runoff. So it's a very common misconception that sediment or mud or dirt is not a problem for our waterways. It is a very common pollutant that in large volumes has heavy impacts on our waterways. It fills up these creeks, it carries other pollutants with it, causes flooding downstream, and it causes a ton of property damage and clogs culverts, takes out roadways, causes a lot of problems. And when we have too much mud coming off of these development sites, it's too late once it gets into the creek. So we work very hard with these developers, with these local governments, to make sure we have these silt fences, make sure we have these BMPs in place to keep it here to prevent the downstream property damage.
Our district, the Fulton District, is the most urban district in Georgia. We have over 1 million residents, but we impact major river systems, and all of those are heavily impacted by this urban population. So helping people do the right thing is one of our main jobs, and it impacts almost everybody in Georgia. Over 2 million people get their drinking water out of the Chattahoochee River, so that's something we are very interested in. One of the biggest problems in an urban area is impervious surfaces, and that's rooftops, pavement, parking lots, anything where the water just hits the ground and runs off the pavement. And that usually creates flooding and problems downstream for everybody. So what we encourage is green infrastructure, where the water, we have green spaces where the water is encouraged to absorb into the ground. And what this does, it mitigates flooding, and it also provides a higher water table during drought times, so that you have a higher base flow in your streams as they move south of here, which is very important for farmers in South Georgia.
When Hugh Hammond Bennett got this Soil Conservation Service enacted, shortly thereafter, conservation districts were formed across the country. And these conservation districts were formed in sometimes as small as 1 county, sometimes as big as 9. And the purpose of those is to have representation from those districts to know what's going on the land and to advise the government, to advise Soil Conservation, Natural Resource Conservation Service of what's needed in a particular area to meet the concerns that are there. Because what's needed in South Georgia is totally different from what's needed in the Chesapeake Bay area. So these districts were formed, and in Georgia we have 40 districts. Every county in the state is represented by a district, and you know what's needed in North Georgia in the mountains is totally different from what we need in the coastal plains. So we're there to kind of help represent and bring forward what's needed and address the problems, and also educate others as to how to take care of the land better and to educate. And that's the purpose of conservation districts within our area. A younger farmer has to realize that a conservation effort is a long-term thing. It's not, you may have to spend the money to correct a wash. That correcting a wash doesn't mean taking a disc harrow and harrowing over it every spring and planting a crop. It means correcting a problem so that wash doesn't happen again. It's costly, and it's an effort, and it's not going to be something that's going to be recouped in 1 year. But if that erosion is stopped, that land is going to produce more, and it's going to get better and better. So it's a long-term investment. But my dad taught me a long time ago, if you take care of the land, it'll take care of you. And all of our producers need to realize that we have to take care of the land if we're going to receive anything out of it. We have to take care of the land.